Ali is an ardent advocate of patient-centric design. He completed his residency training at the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute in Miami, began his career in a private practice setting. He's a patient champion, and he loves to work on initiatives that lower healthcare costs and improve outcomes. So his first venture, WeRx, was recognized as one of the best applications to help patients reduce their drug costs by Consumer Reports. But now he is on to his next gig, which is EyeCheq. Ali, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to speak with you all and share a little bit about, what I'm immensely passionate about. I'm back in the eye care space after, dealing with prescription drug cost and some of the things Cynthia's working on and her team. So really, I'd like to start off by talking about the problem, because I think it's really important in eye care. And I know everyone has some knowledge here about the problem with eyes. But today, the only way you know you may have a blinding disease is that if you go to an ophthalmologist or an optometrist. Eye conditions, generally speaking, are not symptomatic. You do not have pain, discomfort. Oftentimes, when you lose vision, it's too late. And there's not an ophthalmologist that you can talk to that doesn't say that they've had almost a patient every single week where, their heart drops because when they come into the office, they already have full-blown disease and they're sent to the retinal surgeon and they're just praying that they can save a part of the eye. And so what we are attempting to do with our platform, which is EyeCheq, and I'll go into that in just a second, is to get in front of the problem by allowing people to check their eyes where they typically go, where they frequent, like the pharmacy, like a retail store that they go to, picking up their eggs, picking up their groceries. And we believe by going upstream, we will be able to identify eye disease early and get people into the care that they need. But it's much more than that. And I'll step into it in just a second, but I want to talk really briefly about the team here. We not only come to this with a lot of eye care medical experience, but we also come to it with a team of physicians that are experienced entrepreneurs with several startups that have had exits, IPOs, and in particular, Khan Siddiqui was the founder of Higgy, which was the blood pressure machine and 11,000 locations across the United States that was sold to Babylon Health. So we come to it from a technology perspective, but we also understand the kiosk world intimately. And so our solution is the first of its kind, fully autonomous eye kiosk that checks the health of your body through your eyes, because the eyes are truly the window to your wellness. And like we mentioned before, this will be placed in primary care facilities, pharmacies, and retail locations. This device does not require a staff member, no training necessary, and therefore it can be placed in locations where you would never be able to conduct some of these tests. And I'll walk through what exactly we do. We actually can detect and provide an interpretation for diabetic retinopathy evaluations, which is one of the measurements for HEDIS scores, and increased STAR measurements for Medicare Advantage plans. We also screen for diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma, and I'll walk through exactly how it works, but we use artificial intelligence, and I'll talk a little bit briefly about the technology. So the user experience, you walk up to the device educates you, it talks to you in any language, it's multi-language. It shows you videos of what's about to happen. And so you're coached through this experience. What you'll recognize is these devices that you see on my screen right here are devices that you've experienced by going to your ophthalmologist or optometrist today. So the first test that we conduct is a visual acuity test, which is the eye chart in an eye doctor's office. We have an artificial intelligence camera that moves our device up and down based off of your height. The next test you conduct is a symptom checker that is going to identify and triage particular conditions that may require urgent need, but it can also identify things that are really quality of life issues like dry eyes and ocular allergies. The autorefractor can actually give us your measurement for glasses. But there's another important feature of the autorefractor. The first symptom, and in fact, 33% of the time, an optometrist or an ophthalmologist identifies diabetes with a patient because they have something called a myopic shift. So they'll come to their eye doctor and think they need glasses and their vision's blurry, but they actually have sorbitol in their lens, which causes the lens to get larger, and that causes a shift in their prescription. Just asking a couple simple questions like, they've been using the bathroom more often lately. Are they thirsty? So this is a critical test where we can actually identify the first symptoms of diabetes. The retinal camera actually focuses on the eye, takes a picture of the right eye, then goes to the left eye and takes another picture. It is using confocal technology, which is very important because we do not need to dilate the eyes to take these pictures. And these pictures can actually go through a 2-millimeter pupil, a very, very small pupil, and it can actually go through any media opacity like cataracts as well. And the indication here, what we do is after we take a picture, it goes to our artificial intelligence that reads the images for diabetic retinopathy, hypertensive retinopathy, cupping from glaucoma, macular degeneration. And as you know, more and more diseases can be identified with the retina. Every day, artificial intelligence is getting better and better. In fact, the future, we're going to be able to check your heart health, your kidney health, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all from a retinal photo. So we do believe that this is truly a health kiosk that can also check your visual symptoms. So just to go over it really quickly, the EyeCheq device can identify life-threatening conditions, sight-threatening conditions, and even quality of life issues. And our go-to-market is actually through Medicare Advantage plans. We have a deal with a Medicare Advantage plan. Currently, we're working through several very large primary care facilities that take risk. And this will prevent them from having to refer out to ophthalmology to just have a diabetic retinopathy evaluation. It can all be conducted right in their office. The patient doesn't need to schedule another visit. It doesn't have to be another $400 or $500 consultation just to know the patient does not have diabetic retinopathy, or they do. And then our system can actually communicate with the patient and tell them exactly what to do next. So after your examination at our device, we will send you your results and you'll be able to see what problems you're having and what the next steps are that you need to take. So at this very moment in time, we are raising a $3 million round where we have one of the largest medical device companies in ophthalmology doing due diligence. We're going to close that round in January. So if anyone would like to participate in it, my contact information's here. My name's Ali. You can reach me at ali@eyecheq.com if you want to learn any more information or you have any questions. But it's been a pleasure chatting with you all today, and we look forward to chatting in the future.
Great. Thank you, Ali. Any questions for Ali? He can stop sharing now. All right, good.
Ely, I'll chime in again.
Thomas,
nice job, Ali. Really interesting, and I love the strength of your leadership team. I think that makes a big deal. As you well know, the nuances of reporting diabetic retinopathy, there's progression, lack of progression, what it is, gets pretty nuanced for the Medicare Advantage plans to get that additional disease management kicker. How does your algorithm work that, or do you have to report that directly and discuss that with the patient and or physician?
No, there is an FDA approved algorithm to autonomously detect diabetic retinopathy and actually classify it. So you will actually say you have mild diabetic retinopathy, it's not referable, they can just be observed every year or every 6 months. And then it will show the rest of the progression. It will show if there's maculopathy that actually needs to go in for treatment, or if there's proliferative disease that requires an ophthalmologist to do a laser procedure on the patient. So all of that is FDA approved. There's a CPT code 92229 that's approved. It reimburses about $55 or so for that AI-driven autonomous detection of diabetic retinopathy, and it meets all the HEDIS measurements.
Ali, what's the business model? How do you make money?
So currently we're working with the Medicare Advantage plans on a PMPM basis. So we'll, per member per month, they'll pay us a fee to manage those lives. We also are working with primary care physicians that will rent our device, and then we'll charge a fee every time there's an interpretation for patients. We also have a referral model. We have several relationships with the largest optometry organizations that will pay us to refer patients for eyeglasses. We have a relationship with LASIK surgeons all across the country that will pay for referrals into their clinics. We're working with a clinical trial company. And lastly, there is advertisement on the platform. So we have a very diversified revenue model, but 75% of it comes from health plans and primary care facilities.
Great.
Hey, Ali, this is Vipula Taylor here. Hi. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Very important aspects of aging population across the world. Have you looked into expanding this in countries outside of US?
Yes, we absolutely have, and that's near and dear to all of our hearts. We want to be able to go where, you know, people really need us the most. What we thought internally is, if we solve this problem here in the States, we're very positive that it can work anywhere. So we're laser beam focused, but there's been a lot of groups that we've talked to. We just had a conversation with ICF. We've had a conversation with one site of Essilor-Luxottica, which does a lot of work in Africa. There's groups in India that we're working with. So that's near and dear to our heart. We do want to deploy some units out there, but we want to focus right now on the US market and then go abroad.
Sure. Do you envision the same business model outside of the US, because of the reimbursement structure is very different outside of the US?
Very, very different, and it's complex. And we're honestly, we're not experts in the different markets, but we are leaning on folks that are involved. We're working with the ophthalmology group in Africa that's been kind of sharing a little bit about the nuances there. But you know, we're open to different business models outside of the US, of course.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Martina has a question.
Yeah, I'm you know, like lots of the applications seem to overlap with the needs that we need for space. So I'm curious if you considered, you know, applying your solution to space medicine.
Oh, you know, that's funny. We never really thought about it, but I know that all the astronauts or anybody going into space needs an eye examination. So certainly something to look into for sure.
Yeah, it's not just like that. Like, we are going to be building long-term bases on Moon.
Space stations.
You know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and we are going to Mars. So when you go to Mars and you are there like for 3 years, so you really need like minimally invasive solutions that are addressing multiple problems.
Yes.
You know, and it seems like very much in line with what your device is,
Very
like
much
doing.
so.
And there is actually like funding, like even NASA has SBIR, STTR subchapters for health. So maybe like if you are interested, like we can maybe connect offline. But
I would love to chat about that. Yeah.
But I think this could be, and this applies like to some other of the companies here too. But yeah, I think this could be like additional roadmap. And also, I'm also thinking if you considered applying this to animals.
You know, some of the technology really requires someone to look, you know, and be still. But I think that the space thing, a lot easier than animals.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you.
All right,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Christian has a question, last question for Ali.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Love your kiosk. My only concern would be as a potential user, how do you make sure it stays clean?
Yeah, great point. So even in our retail deployments, Christian, we're actually going to require that the device sit near the healthcare professional. So it might be in the pharmacy area or the vision center area. But there are disposable wipes at the kiosk, and there's a whole tutorial before you start that shows you how to take the wipes and exactly the surfaces you need to clean. This is exactly what's done in an ophthalmology practice. There's nothing additional to just wiping
Yeah, I
the
swear
device.
I got pink eye one time. I went to Lens Crafters, so I was looking for a little spot where I could grab it and wipe it down myself.
There is a question that says if you have red eyes and discharge, step away from the device. That's the first question we ask. But yes,
Terrific.
great point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ali.